Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 75 of Two Left Thumbs, your source of weekly gaming news and updates. In this week's episode, we will be talking about PlayStation finally releasing some information on the PlayStation 5, GameStop being total fucking scumbags, and the story of what happened to Half-Life 3. We also have all the best weekly deals from a range of publishers across all gaming platforms. I'm Deft Puppies, joined me as always, it's Crazy Gamer. My man, how are ya?
Good, man. I'm good. How are you in this fine, isolated COVID-19 world that we're in at the moment?
Dude, it's a struggle, hey? I mean, yeah.
It feel like it sort of feels like a video game.
It does, right? Like, this is like how the Division started, right? They had like some disease that wiped out New York. They quarantined it. And everyone, this is the Division.
Yeah, and we're all activating our agents. We're ready to go.
It's just Plague meets Division, essentially. But I mean, yeah, I'm good. I mean, like most of my fellow hospitalians have lost their positions as the shutdowns happened. So I have, from this week on, a lot more time for video games for an indefinite amount of time, which is great.
What a perfect opportunity for the podcast.
I know, right? Perfect. Absolutely. We've got to jump on those opportunities and make the most of it, right?
That you do.
How have things been up your end? You're a little more normally isolated than the rest of us. How are things?
Yeah, no, up here it's not that different to what it was before. In the NT, there's I think there's like 5-something cases up here, reported cases up here anyway, and we are very remote where we are at the moment, so it's kind of business as usual, pretty much. With the everyone's obviously taking a lot more precautions and trying to isolate and stay at home and keep away from certain things, but yeah, other than that, it's not that different up here. I can only imagine what it's like in Brisbane.
Oh, mate,
Screw that.
I was in like, so I work in what's known as the Valley, which is one of the kind of three main hubs in Brisbane, and I was there for my final day of work on Monday, and it was a ghost town, absolute ghost town. There was like a few police in the streets, a handful of people walking down the Saturday night before, which is like the Valley's biggest night. It's like party central. It's packed full of drunk idiots, and you cannot move through this mall. It was practically empty. It was like a Thursday or Wednesday night. It was
insane, hey?
Really bizarre, man.
Insane. Can you imagine when the day comes when they turn it all back on?
It's going to be interesting. Like, if this happens, I mean, I know this is totally podcast unrelated, but I mean, it's affecting all of us anyway. So, but it depends on how long this goes for, because it could totally crash everything when it boots back up. Like, people aren't going to know how to function normally for quite a while, and it's going to be an adjustment. I mean, have you seen the content that's been coming out on like Twitter and TikTok and shit?
I'm just going to go straight to the pub and like, what do I order again? Give me 18,000 of these. It's going to be insane.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting getting back up and running, especially if I have to go back to work after time off, because this is the first time off I've actually had, like long time off I've had for like 20 years, nearly like 18 years I think I've been working. I've never really taken any time off, so this is the whole new world for me. It's all this productivity. I'm just like, what?
Thank Christ for video games, otherwise you would be a lunatic. Absolute lunatic. Well, speaking of games, what are you getting into?
What am I getting into at the moment? So I've only had a day or so. Like, this is my first kind of day off. But this week I played some more Ori. I'm about halfway through that now. I'm just past the well. With that big, where you've got to escape. Yep. So I'm there. So I don't want to go too far into it for spoilers. So I did a bit of that. I played some more Warzone for a little bit. I'm really enjoying the plunder mode. Not too fussed on the VR, but the plunder mode is a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun kind of dicking around with that. Just being good. Just a game or here there. A little bit of Apex, and then today, I was testing out a game for stream. It's called Speaking Simulator. Now, this is one that Static spoke about on the podcast a while back when he went to PAX Oz. It was I don't remember who it was built by. This. And he was saying it was a really interesting concept where you've got to kind of manage this robot who, like, the base premise is you're a robot and you have to go out into society and convince people you're a real person by having these conversations with them, at which you're controlling the mouth and the tongue and the facial movements and all that kind of stuff through various commands. And you have to do it correctly in order to convince them that you're human, so you can learn about them and destroy all humans, and that's the whole thing. But so think of it like QWOP. So if anyone knows what QWOP is, it's like the way you've got to is it QWOP the one where you've got to run, or is that?
I have no idea.
Yeah, very there's story makes it very Manuel Samuel like. So, but the only thing you're controlling is the face. So you control the mouth movements with your mouse, and you kind of move around. And then the tongue you have to control with WASD, and it has certain points in the tongue that will light up that you have to hit to make the right sounds, as well as combining the movements of the mouth.
It's just a bizarre.
It sounds bizarre.
It sounds super interesting though.
And it's like it owns that as well, and it's just really fucking funny. Like I've only done the first level because I didn't want to get too far into it because I know it's only a short game, where you go out on a date with a Karen, a literal Karen, has the bob haircut, is in PR. It's like an actual, and you go on this date and you have to like have this conversation with her and like start hitting on her and stuff, or you're like talking, but the more you fuck up, the more because you're a robot, the more your face falls apart. So you've got teeth falling out, smoke and sparks coming out your nose. It's absolutely brilliant. I'm keen to get more into it. Maybe tomorrow or the night after, but I like it, man. I like it. It's good.
Cool. That does sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, and I also have Bleeding Edge downloading as well. That was out today.
Oh yeah, that's out today, isn't it?
It is out today. It just announced that in a new patch they'll be doing crossplay and cross save for Xbox and PC, which is really cool as well. Cool. Real nice little late addition to the game, but it's good.
Yep. So you're playing it on PC?
Yeah, I'll be playing it on PC. I'll probably do a little bit of both. Like I might flick between PC and Xbox depending on where I am in the house. If I'm down here, I'll be playing. If not, if I'm in the lounge room, I might knock back a few casual games here or there. But I played the beta a couple of times, and it was quite good. I liked it.
Yeah, I never got it. I never got a chance to play the beta. I wasn't here, so definitely mind. How big is it?
Not huge. I think price wise, I think the game itself is only about $30. If you don't have Game Pass, so it's not like a half price game. So it's a smaller kind of thing, but it's good. I know you've had a very interesting week, so tell me about it. What have you been playing this week, man?
Well, I finished Ori, and I got my review out on that, and that was done and dusted, which is good overall. Just a really well done game.
Yeah, agreed.
Pure, simple, amazing art, amazing platforming. Get it, go play it. What else did I get into? Man, I'm having a memory blank. I did the Resident Evil demo. I ran through that. It's exactly like 2. Feels the same, looks the same. Keen. Hopefully that's out. Hopefully I get that this week sometime. Then today we got into Half-Life Alyx, which has just been is revolutionary too strong of a word to use here? I feel like it is, but it's not.
What's below revolutionary? How can you go just below that?
This is where games are going, man. Like, wow, what an experience! Like, so my main experience with VRs has been predominantly with the PlayStation VR a while back. Ended up getting rid of it just because it's extremely hard to use unless you can dedicate the time to use it. Some of the games on there, like the PlayStation, just lacks the raw power to really push that device.
Yeah.
So you're getting, some substandard experiences. I would say they're more experiences. There are good games on there now, granted. So when I heard about this, I was like, okay, I got the vibe there. Might as well dust it off and let's have a look at it. Putting it on today, so I've played probably just a few hours of it, I would say. So obviously I'm not going to spoil anything. The moment you put it on is completely different to any other VR game I've ever seen or ever played. Any other VR game you get, you put the headset on, you can tell you're in a VR game. Like it's just got that feel of a VR game in it. You can see the limitations of the hardware. You can kind of see behind the curtain too easily. This, I don't know what Valve have done. I don't know why Valve are just they're wizards.
Valve magic.
They have tricked me into thinking this is. They haven't tricked. They've done it. This is a full-fledged fucking game that feels like a full-fledged game. This is not an experience. It's not. It's meaty. There's so much in it, and it is so meticulous and so well crafted. The details in it are just incredible. Like you start the game at the in the apartment in the district there with the citadel and everything off in the distance, and man, just putting it on and looking around, it's like incredibly well rendered. I don't know how their engine does it, but it's insane. The physics base of picking things up and using everything is just incredible. Now, granted, that's probably been done more recently on some other games, other VR games, because I have not played, a crap load of them, especially Oculus ones and, stuff like that. But being able to, pick up a watering can that's sitting on a bench, and then you go over and you grab another can of Coke, and you can put the can of Coke in the watering can and then shake the watering can and you can hear it rattle around. And then you can throw the watering can, depending on how far you actually want to throw it, as the distance it'll go. It's not like, just a little flick and it will fly across the room. So
it's not like a generic motion to move something. It bases off actual physics.
Yeah, and it's like, I picked up a roll of duct tape or something, and there's a pigeon sitting on the ledge, 2 meters away from me. I was like, can I really? I was like, fucking threw it. Scared the pigeon off. It's like, it sounds simple, but when you're in it, it's really hard to describe. But when you're in there, you feel like you're in there. The movement system is really good. It's the I forget the technical name of it. I think I just call it Blink, really, because it's just
the teleporty point and click kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So they've done really well, because obviously motion sickness is a major factor in these games, or any VR game. It can really make and break a game. Like if this released and people were just getting sick constantly, left, right, center, it'll tank. It won't sell. Thankfully, they've nailed it. It feels so good. I don't get sick at all. I played, like I said, for a few hours, and it went by insanely fast. You pull the goggles off and you're just like,
that's good.
What the hell just happened? Where did that time go? You are so insanely immersed in it. It's tiring.
Matrix. It's all over now.
Pretty much. Yeah. It is tiring though. As much as I'm gonna I know I'm going to enjoy this game. There would never be, VR is never going to replace couch game. Yeah, it's never going to replace sitting at your TV and just, with a controller in your hand and watching something and playing it. But man, Valve have worked out a way to somehow create this killer app. This is what VR needed. Valve have done it. This is it. This is this is the peak example that now every VR game needs to hit to tell a story, to play, to look, to feel as good as this does. And if they can do that, man, and if other companies can do that with games, it should really take off, because it is that fun to play, and it's scary as shit too.
Yeah, I think I read something. That was intentionally supposed to be scarier, but they turned it down because it was too much.
Man, you can't have it anymore. There is some freaky ass moments in this game, dude. Seriously, it's the lighting effects they use and the texture and the particle effects and everything. I don't know. It's just got that Valve feel to it. I don't know how they do it or what the hell it is. But it just...
I know how they do it. They take 13 years to do it. Valve.
Oh, well, hey, if it takes 13 years to get this, then take 13 years again. because this is just, I'm only a few hours in. I know that it's at least 15 to 20 hours campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah, sign me up, man. I cannot wait. The gun is freaky dicky awesome. It is so cool to shoot in this game, like unreal. You stack ammo behind you, so you put it in your backpack. So you reach behind you with your left hand,
Yeah.
pull the cartridge out, and it's in your hand. Yeah, you can see it. You can turn around. You can look at it. You hold your other gun up, your gun hand up. You eject the magazine out with a button, so it slides out. You slam the other one in. Then you got to cock one in the chamber, and then you're good to go. And there's this cool. You think that is in any other game, you wouldn't even talk about that, would
Yeah.
you?
No, not
It'd
really.
be oh, what, you're reloading a gun? Here, they do it with such cool effect. So the I'm not won't spoil it, but you know the creature, like the head bugs.
The
I
head
forget their
crabs, yep.
name. Yeah, head crabs. There you go. Right. So the last part that I just got up to, you jump down into this abandoned train, right? There's like dim lights, sorry. It's spooky as hell. There's tension, the sound, everything, and there's weird sounds everywhere. And anyway, you get rushed by these two things. One busts through the window, and the other one is coming at you. You've got to obviously shoot them, put them down, but with that reloading animation, like that becomes a thing. And I was here. I shot this guy, unloaded a clip into him, and then turned around to get the one in front of me. But obviously, I ran out of rounds, so I had to reach behind me. And I am actually legitimately, while this is happening, freaking out in my mind. Like, got the goggles on. I'm like, shit. Like, because I am thinking it'll just automatically reload. Like, here I am, like in the heat of the moment, trying to get my ass through this section. And here I am trying to, I get the disc in, and old mate is like right here in my face, like a meter away, ready to just gouge at me. And I finally land it, put one in the chamber, and shoot him. And it is just, I was like, I got to pause this. I got to turn this off for a minute. Give me fucking take 5. It was so cool. It was just so well done. And if that's what the experiences are going to be throughout this game, wow.
I can imagine it would be. I mean, if you're only a few hours in, they'd be ramping you up to kind of getting used to those kinds of experiences. Like, I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't watched any gameplay because, I mean, as much as I want to avoid spoilers because eventually I want to play it, but at the same time, I still need to get a VR kit, and that could be years down the track.
Yeah.
I want to watch it, but I don't. I'm just like currently warring with myself of what the fuck I do because I really want to play it, but I really want to watch it to see what happens. But I'm imagining there would be some there'd be some fucking like a fucking cool boss fight at some point.
I can't. I
am totally fucks with you.
Legitimately excited to go through this. Like,
yeah,
it's such a new, fresh experience and a new take on a game because it's done so well. I can't emphasize it enough of how good this feels. And the other major component to it is the gravity gloves, which are an awesome. They serve a few different things. Yeah, so it's like it ties into the lore of the world with the gravity gun that you get in the second one because this is it's a prequel. So it's set between one and 2. So I imagine the gravity gun hasn't been invented yet, but the gravity gloves have, so they're a lot weaker. But what it does is not only does it tie into the lore really well, but it also solves a problem for the VR unit itself, and that's the act of trying to go down and find ammo. Or if you're in a fight and you run out of ammo, you don't have to run over to get it because that can be a bit jarring when you're in there.
Yeah.
So the gravity gloves work. You just point. Anywhere you look, you can reach out with your hand, point, hold the button, and then pull it towards you like a Jedi. Just yank it to you, and it just launches at you, and you catch it. You've got to catch it.
You know what we need now? We need with all this tech out now, we need a good Jedi VR game.
Oh, dude, if they could do...
Dude, get Respawn and Valve to work together. and make it
Valve have
fun.
worked out the secret sauce, man. They know what to do. They've cracked it.
I need Valve to make a Star Wars game now. Just about like just being like, I know there's a few like Jedi games out there like for VR, but they're kind of experience, not games. I'd love to see a full-fledged game with like proper fighting, and like you can still like whip out a blaster if you want. So you could go like kind of story-wise like the Rebels story, where you've got like some guy that uses, essentially he flicks between having a saber and having a gun
thing
as well. Yeah. Do the and then using the force on top of that for cool shit like pulling things towards you, and I could totally see that happening now.
They easily could. Like I'm telling you, it works so damn well in this game. Like it feels so good to do it. Like I'd spent so long just getting boxes and stacking boxes on top of each other, and then like pushing them, like just to see what you could actually do with the game. And I stacked them all up on the edge of a balcony.
Yeah.
And then push the bottom one out like a stupid game of Jenga that I wanted to purposely lose, just to see what would happen. Like, would the others, freeze in place? Like, would they not recognize that the bottom box has been gone and they just hover there? Something silly like that. No, it knew what happened, and they all fell the right way, with the right amount of force.
I love it.
Yeah, you pick up a cane, absolute brain snap there. A can of paint that's half full. It's like you shake it and you can hear it, and then you're like, I wonder if is this going to work? Throw it at the door, splat, like it smashes and paint goes everywhere. Just simple things like that. And then you can put your hand in it. You can grab a pen, grab a text dart, and you can go up on the wall and you can write on the wall.
Actually, I did see a clip of someone drawing dicks on a window today. I was like, fucking game of the year right there. Here we go.
Yep. It's really well done, man. I don't know why it's taken Valve to get it. I thought someone else might have been able to do it first, but yeah, I'm so invested.
I mean, when Valve does Valve good, so
they do, and they've literally come out today with this game and shown everyone else that they are still one of the best developers in the world when they decide to make full games.
Yeah. Speaking of games, should we get into what's free this week?
I guess so.
That segue though.
Take it away, segue man. Take it away.
So on PlayStation this week, PlayStation Plus, we still have Sonic Forces and the Shadow of the Colossus there. I believe this is one of the last weeks you can grab those. So if you're interested or you need to get your Sonic fix, go for it. Over on PSN deals this week, we have Assassin's Creed Odyssey for $36 and The Witcher 3 for $13.35. An absolute bargain, and both those games will keep you absolutely occupied while you're in isolation. I kind of went through a theme and went through what's going to keep people busy this week while they're stuck at home.
Yeah.
Over on Xbox, we have Games of Gold, still Batman the Enemy Within Telltale series, Shantae the Half Genie Hero, and Sonic Generations. Deals with gold this week, we have Greedfall for $40 and Devil May Cry 5 for $35. Both absolutely spectacular games you should get your hands on. Over on the Switch this week, you're going to need some exercise in, so we have Just Dance 2020 is down to $40. So you can get in there and bust a move and get some fitness going. And over on the Epic Store this week, we have The Stanley Parable and Watch Dogs.
Is that the original Watch Dogs? Is that on there?
That's the OG Watch Dogs is on there, the first one. I played it. It was okay. Like I know Watch Dogs 2 made a lot of improvements, and Watch Dogs, the first one got kind of a warm reception, but it's okay. And The Stanley Parable, have you seen that game?
No.
So basically, The Stanley Parable is you just keep going through doors, and each door you go through leads to a different decision that you have to make, and you keep making decisions, and you keep going through different doors, and you have to try and beat the game.
Sounds like life.
Yeah, it is. And so you start off in an office, and it just gets really weird. I've never played it myself, but I've seen it on streams and stuff, and definitely worth getting for freebie, especially. So, into something weird.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, it's definitely good. On to news and updates this week. PlayStation has finally made its move. Sony has finally revealed the specifications and hardware details for the PlayStation 5, its next generation home console. It's planned for release this holiday season. The PS5 will feature, here we go, here's the specs, this is what we want. Will feature an 8-core AMD Zen 2 CPU clocked at 3.5 GHz with a variable frequency, a custom GPU based on AMD's RDNA 2 architecture hardware that promises 10.28 teraflops, and 36 compute units clocked at 2.23 GHz, also a variable frequency. It'll also have 16 GB of GDDR6 RAM and a custom 825 GB SSD that Sony's previously promised will offer super fast loading times in the gameplays. One of the biggest technical updates for the PS4 was already announced, which is the SSD, which is apparently going to dramatically increase the load times. It also mentioned that the PlayStation 5 will support nearly all the top PlayStation 4 games at launch via backwards compatibility.
Woof.
Whoa. The basic rundown of this is, it is very similar to the Series X.
Yep. They're like, this one's a little bit weaker.
It's slightly weaker. The SSD, like the hard drive, is a little bit smaller. I think that 825, it's a 1 terabyte, but the system is taking up that 170 something gig on the end of it, so that's why they've told the 825, because it'd have to be a terabyte.
I don't know. You'd think so.
I know Xbox are doing weird things with the architecture to to make sure the operating system's separate to the SSD, where I think PlayStation's just put it on the SSD, like the OS.
Okay. You would have thought they would have, maybe it's to keep price down, obviously, but to try and get that 1 terabyte, it just looks a lot better when you market it to go sell it. 825 gig, you're like,
yeah. I feel like they could have said, they could have said a terabyte too, but then they would have been called out when people have gone to load the game and say, oh no, this is 825, and they would have had a shit show on their hands. So I think they've probably made it, I think the PlayStation will be cheaper at launch, as far as purchase is concerned, because I think they've, again, with the 825 gigs, like using some of that and the way they've built the console itself. But yeah, I mean, PlayStation proved this time around that it's not so much about the console itself either and how much power you can put out. It's what you're doing with it and the games you're producing that sell the console.
Yeah, I think their whole marketing thing needs a whole fucking refresh like that.
Did you watch this announcement?
I did not live, but I watched a replay of it, and it's like that. It was very clearly meant for GDC. It was
very technical based and dry.
It was not public. There was
no moisture to that at all. It was dry as shit. I think there was like a few jokes in there, but I was so busy trying not to fall asleep from the sheer boredom of listening to that guy's voice drone on.
Oh, Mark Cerny,
he was really quiet. He was really quiet, and he spoke like
got this angelic voice. He'd be great in a choir. Yeah, I think they could have just done that so much better than what they did.
Yeah, it probably was.
That should have been scrapped. They shouldn't have had that at all. They should have led with, especially since Xbox came out 2 days beforehand or whatever, 3 days beforehand, and showed all their specs. Then Sony come out 3 days later, do the same, but their system is weaker nearly across the board. It's like, why would you come out and reveal your console is weaker, like against your competition?
Yeah,
why not come out and show
for the specs anyway? Like they would have gone.
Yeah, but you do that
specs?
afterwards.
Specs?
Do that afterwards. Like, dude,
it's still after the fact though. So
they should have come out with like a gameplay trailer, whatever they can get together, and that's how you announce it. Show the console off, show the games that are coming to it, put up the whatever, it's RDNA 2, it's ray tracing, it's, just all the buzzwords that everyone wants to see. And then you have Mark Cerny come in and do his super deep dive for the developers and for everyone else who wants to see all the tech side of it.
I mean, it wouldn't
For
be
me,
too
it
hard
was
to
like,
throw a trailer together, just to like running down the spec. Even if the trailer was just running down the specs with some gameplay in the background,
yeah, you wouldn't
and
think
then
so.
have Mark
Like,
Cerny go deeper into how that system works. That's what he did. He was sitting there talking about how the system worked and how it was constructed and how they're working the architecture, which is really interesting. But
it's just so weird. Like, that's not how you don't show the console off like that for the first time or talk about it openly. Yeah, they could have handled that so much better, especially after they've cancelled E3, they've cancelled GDC, they've cancelled everything. They're not going to all these events.
Mm.
And then there was no expectation for them to show up. Everyone was just asking when they were going to show up. No one knew when they were going to do it. So it was not like
They were rushed.
it's not like Xbox. You could go out and start your pre-orders and all the rest of it. Is why rush? As we should have taken their time and had their announcement come out really good, and then do this deep dive stuff afterwards. In saying that, I thought that the deep dive thing was okay. It was like still a boring kind of thing to watch. But the biggest takeaway I had of it is that the system is obviously a little bit weaker. It's probably going to sell for a lot cheaper. I would say.
I reckon it'll be $150.
200. I reckon
cheaper.
$200
200?
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. I reckon $200 difference. And the whole when they first spoke, I think it was like in that Wired article about the SSD, and that it was going to be more powerful than what any PC currently has. It was all like, okay, all right, maybe let's see what you can do. And then they went into it, and I walked away with the same reaction as I think most people, was like, okay, so it's going to load games incredibly fast. Turns out that, yeah, it'll do that, but that's like half of what it's supposed to do. Yeah. The other half is seeing all these developers now from the first party studios, third party ones, guys from Respawn, guys from EA, developers all coming out. And these are guys that like don't have hundreds of thousands of followers. They're just grunts that are working in these companies. They're coming out on Twitter and just going like, you guys don't know what this thing is actually capable of. This SSD, what they're doing here, giving it that much speed, is game changing.
Yeah.
Like Xbox has the same thing. Like it's doing the same thing, but PlayStation has twice that speed. Not a little bit. It's twice as fast.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how developers work the new consoles and how they take advantage of that. Because I mean, sure, they can say this is game changing and we can do this stuff, but it's how the developers are going to use that opportunity to make things better.
Go watch Digital Foundry's review of Doom Eternal. They just released it yesterday or whatever. They do a deeper dive into the id Tech engine and how it works, and why the game runs and looks so good, even on base consoles. And if you did watch Mark Cerny's brief, he goes in about the geometry of the engines, that these SSDs, what it's going to be able to do, and like dumping 6 gig of data in 2 seconds or something. Like, it's ridiculously fast. And he goes on about the triangles and all these bits and pieces. Doesn't really make a great deal of sense to me. But then you go and watch Digital Foundry's review, and in that they go to the developers about the id Tech engine, and then they strip it all back. They get rid of all the rendering, and they show all the triangles and everything off.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait till you see what this is like. It kind of makes sense when you see it. That's what that raw power can actually do without an increase of, CPU or GPU. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do. Both these consoles are going to look near the same.
Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest point is going to be the price point and the games that come with it. Because that's what it should be. Because they're always going to be similar. One might out edge the other here. The Xbox has raw power. The PlayStation has more speed. It depends, right? So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens and how developers are actually taking advantage of the architecture of both consoles.
Yeah, it comes.
It goes.
It'll come down to the games, and again, the first party teams and what they can do. They can do with it, really.
Yeah.
See, interesting ways.
Speaking of PlayStation still and what they're doing with it, I mean, take that as you will, I guess. So our next kind of little mini story here, which is kind of related to this, is PlayStation has patented direct gameplay booting. So this is kind of similar to the fast boot that Xbox has going on, but a little bit different. So Sony is looking into ways to further increase the boot time to play games, as the latest PlayStation patent reveals custom game templates that will launch games directly into gameplay, according to the patent, which was filed over a year and a half ago and only recently went public. Sony is looking at ways to utilize the functions found in SSDs and other hardware components, as it details the ability to boot directly into specific sections of games. So what this means is, if you're playing a single player game, you'll no longer have to wait through all the functions of selecting menus and loading a save. You'll just open straight into that save. Whereas with multiplayer, so if, like, let's say Call of Duty, instead of booting into a game having to select a specific mode, like Call of Duty, like zombies or multiplayer or whatever, you can theoretically boot directly into one mode and be in matchmaking as soon as you start the game up. So you open the game and you're already in matchmaking.
Cool.
which is neat. I think it's cool. Like, this is very similar to what Xbox have going with their kind of instant switch between games, whatever they called it again. I can't remember. But yeah, it'll be good.
Hot swap.
Yeah, the old hot swap.
There's not much to it. I mean, it's
a cool feature.
It is cool. It will be a feature. That'll be it. It won't be a system selling feature, I don't think, or anything you really market a great deal about. But it's definitely something that's going to save you time.
Less time in lobbies is better. Like I said, they're focusing on speed, so it's like, bam, straight into matchmaking. Bam, straight
just
back
less
to
time.
Save. Yeah,
less time in general. Like, people are struggling for time as it is now. Imagine being able to just sit down and go, right, I just really want to play Warzone. Bang, hit the button, it fires up, and you're in there.
Exactly, yeah.
That is, like, no logos, no intros, none of that shit. Yeah, you're straight in. It is a cool feature.
Although, if you want to change modes, that's going to be a pain in the ass.
Why is that?
Like, well, if you're loading instantly into a particular mode, right?
I get you.
To go to a different mode. I just
want to play the fucking campaign.
I just want to play the campaign. Said every Call of Duty player ever.
Yeah, exactly. All 3% of people that fucking play the campaign.
Exactly. So our next story is about a little bit about GameStop. They've been causing some trouble, and they've over this whole COVID-19 situation, and they've finally submitted. So as of, I think it was today, GameStop will close all its storefront. Oh, here we go. I should read first. Helps. GameStop will close all its storefronts starting Sunday, following outcry from employees and calls from lawmakers to stay home as the COVID-19 spreads throughout the United States. Last week, GameStop had resisted calls to close all of its stores, saying it was an essential business because it offers mice and keyboards that could help people work from home. That's their excuse. GameStop told CNN Business in a statement, "We are one of many providers of these products that are remaining open at this time," but didn't comment on why it must remain open if the other stores are also providing these items. Stores have remained open in several other states. They have ordered that had ordered non-essential retail to close, including New York and New Jersey. Starting Friday, the video game retailer began to close stores in California and Pennsylvania. California has been under statewide lockdown home order since Thursday evening. So there's a whole heap to this. This has been going on all week. But basically what happened is people were like, GameStop, there was a lot of employees coming out saying they're not looking after us. We don't have sanitizer. There's no rules in place to protect us from catching COVID. And so this went on, and they were crying. And then once the lockdown started happening, GameStop was actually giving employees a letter for when police came into the store to tell them to close the fuck down. That says, "Here, we are an essential business. Call our head office and discuss it with them. You cannot close this store." So they were putting the safety of their employees and everybody else at risk for well over a week, and God knows how many people they helped infect. And
God, go on. What a week for Reggie to start. Come on,
I know, he has a fucking mission ahead of him.
Better. Poor fucker.
Yeah.
It's just so man, they are on life support, that company.
Yeah, well, I mean, we all know why they're doing this, because we all know GameStop is going under. And they went, oh, Animal Crossing and Doom are here, and our sales are up for the first time in fucking years because nowhere else is open and we have good video games coming out. Let's fucking bank on it as long as we can. This is a very... I want to say this is a very EA move. Is GameStop EA now?
Very EA move.
But yes,
well, they've been closed now, so
they're finally closed. I think there's still a few stores that are doing like, they still sell, but they have to like pick up from the street. So basically, what happens is, from what we've heard, you call the GameStop and you say, "Alright, I'm on my way down to pick up this game, or I want to buy this game." They get it ready for you. You come down, you walk up to a window, you put the cash in the window, you take a step back, and they slide it under the door. And then you pick up the game once they have backed away. They have to go back behind a mark until the game comes out, and they say, "Alright, you can take the game now."
That sounds so sketchy. It's like, excuse me, sir, I asked for Doom Eternal, not a pound of crack. You can have this back, please.
Imagine if they gave someone the wrong game. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
This is Doom, not Animal Crossing. I wanted the Switch game.
God, man. Hey, you got a credit for being, for having a go.
You got any of those Steam cards? Need a voucher. Gotta get my head.
Yeah. I just don't understand. Like, why wouldn't you just buy digital? Like, just for even if you're a crazy physically collector, I get that, whatever. But just for this time being, why not go digital? Why would you go down to the shop? Or... I
mean, I don't know. Maybe.
No, there's no right answer. There's nothing.
There's no rebuttal to this. Just go fucking digital. I mean, there's the supporting your local, which is the thing that's been going on here a lot. A lot of locals kind of outcrying for support in their region, but it's GameStop. They're not exactly a local. They're they're a fucking large company trying to siphon money by endangering their employees. So.
It didn't happen here, though, did it? EB Games didn't do the same.
I don't know. I haven't been to an EB Games yet. There's one like the local shopping center that's still open, but I don't know if they're actually open still or not.
Yeah, okay. Surely, I don't think they would have. But they are GameStop. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows? They are one and the same, essentially. Yes, on to our final story, all about Half-Life 3 and what happened. So 13 years after the release of the heart-wrenching finale that is still unresolved, and the once feverish Half-Life 3 confirmed memes have mostly lost steam, but now, after more than a decade, we're getting a new Half-Life game, as well as some answers. So Dario Casali, a Valve veteran who has been working in the studio since 1996, spoke to IGN about Half-Life 2, its development, and its influence on Valve's new VR prequel. During the chat, they also discussed why Valve decided to make episodes instead of full sequels. So this is Half-Life Part 1, Half-Life Part 2 that we got. And why the now infamous Episode 3 and sequel in general never arrived. His answer... It was partly due to Valve's worry about scope creep in what were supposed to be smaller expansions, partly due to the studio's desire to begin development on the Source 2 engine, and partly the lack of creative spark and unsatisfactory internal experiments worthy of carrying the Half-Life name. He said, after working on Half-Life 2 for 6 years, we decided we didn't want to go dark for so long. That's why we started doing the episodes where we thought, well, we have stable technology now. We understand the characters. We understand the story. We have most of the mechanics. Let's just bite off little chunks and release them more often. We thought players were going to prefer waiting 6 years and going through however many delays we went through, but regardless of how it ended, a plan was set to develop and release each episode in a year, designing them as shorter additions to the story to keep players satisfied more frequently. That plan didn't work out entirely well as Valve hoped. While episode 1 was was successfully developed in about a year, Casali says that scope creep became a problem. We found ourselves creeping ever forward towards, well, let's just keep putting more and more and more and more stuff in the game because we want to make it as good as we can, he explained. And then we realized these episodes are turning more into sequels.
Finally. There's the answer. Holy Christ.
It's just like,
why didn't they just come out and say this all those years ago?
Because they were still working on it.
It's just bizarre.
It's good. I'm glad they recognized that's all right. This is getting out of hand, and this isn't going to happen. But some communication would have been great instead of just everyone going Half-Life 3 confirmed every 45 seconds and them saying nothing.
Yes.
But we got Alyx, and Alyx, from what you're saying and what I've seen, a pretty fucking solid game and well worth the wait.
Yeah, I'm super stoked with it. So it has paid off. Eventually, I'd say. After how long? 13 years.
13 years.
I actually had to watch a recap of Half-Life 1 and 2 story just because it'd
been so long.
Yeah, I was like, what happened? Like, I know we went to an alien planet and you killed the big thing, and it's like,
there was portal guns and
and then I get put in stasis, and then there's that G-Man who keeps popping in and out. And apparently, it is some, not all of them, are answered in Half-Life Alyx.
Oh, right. So all that's kind of what happened before is answered.
Some of it, I think. Like, maybe whoever the G-Man is. Because no one knows who the hell he is and how he just magically shows up to say, well, to pause everything effectively and whatnot.
Yeah.
Good old Valve. Well done.
Fucking Valve, yeah. Hopefully we're not waiting another 10 years for another one. But
I think they're going to see the success of Half-Life Alyx and
they'll get to work on it. It'll probably still be 4 or 5 years before we hear anything, but surely not 13 again.
Hopefully not 13. I can go 5 years. 5 years is fine.
I'll be way too old for fucking VR by then. I'll be all arthritic and in a wheelchair and just like,
you can
remember when Alyx came out? It was a
Yeah.
Groundbreaking game. You youngins wouldn't understand. You don't even know about Half-Life 1 and 2.
At least if it's a horror one, you're going to have like a nappy on. You're going to be good in that area.
Exactly, yeah, right?
Just ready to roll.
Just like, yeah, just get a catheter in. Let's go.
You're sick, man.
Not sick. I'm determined, damn it.
Yeah, determined, all right. I'm going to shit in my pants and play my VR game. Go away.
I need escapism from my age. It's going to be brilliant. So, shorter episode today. That's all we have. We were trying to kind of find stories that wasn't everything shutting down. Because it's been a pretty wild week out there.
Just quietly.
Just quietly. But Gray, would you like to tell the people that are listening?
You're doing it.
Oh, I'm doing it, am I?
Yeah,
it's your job.
I did it last week. I did it last week.
So
take it away.
Next week,
Host with the most.
We have Skoptic joining us as a guest. He's an Aussie streamer. He does YouTube as well, and he's an absolute downright legend. Cool dude.
Hell yeah!
And we're really excited to have him on. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I mean, we're
Getting
always
ready
excited to
for-
have guests on, but it's going to be good.
For the questions, we need to come up with a.
We need to alter our
name.
questions. Oh, we do. We need to come up with a name. I was thinking something like Fast Thumbs, maybe. I don't know. That's been
Fast
floating in my head.
Thumbs, that's not
Fast
bad.
Thumbs. It's been floating in my head this week. We'll sit on that one for now. We
Tricky.
might try
I
that.
like it.
I
like it.
I like it.
Yep.
You like it? I like it. That's good. Let's. You know what? Right now, you're gonna hear me typing loud. Where are we?
I'm just gonna lock it in.
Did you delete the questions?
Yes, I deleted the questions.
Why did you do that? That was such a good pace. Now I can't write it. There we go. Sorted. I don't
Done.
know what I did to them. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening and or watching on your various platforms of choice. If you would like to get in contact with the podcast, you can find us on Twitter at @left_pod. You can also find us at YouTube at links below in various descriptions, because we still don't have a custom URL because we are terrible at YouTube. We will also be streaming every Tuesday night here on mixer.com/deft_puppies from 9ish AEST. Right.
Every night until isolation is over.
Every night. We have nothing better to do with our time.
Full-time streamer.
Great. Where can they find you on the internet, my friend?
You can find me over on YouTube at Grey Aussie Gamer and over on Twitter at Grey Aussie Gamer as well. And Instagram too, if I really, really pulled my finger out, but
desperate.
I don't. So yeah. Real desperate.
Real desperate.
That's it. That's all I've got.
I'm Deft Puppies. You can find me on Twitter, Mixer, and Instagram at deft_puppies with a Z. Thank you for listening. Have an excellent week. Stay safe.
Wash your
and
hands.
wash your fucking hands.
Twice.
Thrice, even. Bye.
It is.